Let me record. Okay. So I'm basically opening up the HANA Studio. Okay. Hope you're able to see the HANA Studio, right? So yesterday we have seen what is HANA Studio and the web ID on XS Advanced and XS Classic, right? Now, because HANA Studio will have pretty much many features here to work. Many HANA Studio will have more development tools to work with. Okay. So I will try to pretty much use more on the HANA Studio. Then later also show you how to work on XS Advanced also. So basically, I'm in. If you look at yesterday, we've seen perspectives. I'm in which perspective? No, I'm in HANA modeler perspective. I'm basically logging into the system. Right click. I would say log on. I'm connected to the systems. Okay. So once you're in HANA modeler and you're connected to the system, you see the system connection. Under each system connection, you would see four folders here: catalog, content, provisioning, and security. When you say catalog, under the catalog folder, you get to see all the catalog objects. When I say catalog objects, all the database objects. Now, when I say database objects, it's about schema. Then you'll have within the schema, you'll have database tables, views, triggers, sequences, procedures, column views. All these database artifacts, all the database artifacts will be within the schema base. So now if I expand this catalog, you would get to see, look at this, all these are my schemas. Like say I have a schema called Cubex, HANA Demo, IMDP, REST API, SysBI, SysBIC. These are this. Whenever you see a schema with the naming as underscore sys, whether it is underscore sys, underscore SysBI, SysBIC, all sysrepo, all these are your system schemas. Okay. And I also have my own schema here, Cubex. So now when it comes to understand what is the schema here, so we are connected to the tenant database HXC. Now what we want, we have connected to the database HXC. Now my intention here is to build the database. I would like to build the database. So it's database in HXC DB of my HANA server HXC host. So HXC host is my HANA server and HXC DB is the database. Now within that I would like to build the database. Okay. So when you want to build the database, you usually go with creating something called schema bus. You create something called schema. So when you say schema, this is about, you can understand schema as a logical grouping of your database. So I would like to build some database specific to, let's say, some company. So this company might, as part of this enterprise, let's say I'm building some application for some company. So let's say a billing application. So when you have this billing application, this application would have some front end, it would have some back end. When I say front end, it will the UI part. So whenever you look at developing an application would have some front end and this will have some back end also. So back end is nothing but your database DB. So let's say as part of billing, they create a new invoice, or let's say they create a new billing, or they edit the billing, or they delete a billing invoice, or they release it, whatever it is they do. Now, as part of DB, the main responsibility of DB is about to store that information in the backend. Say they create a new invoice. I need to store that in some table. So I need to, let's say I create a table naming as invoice. And this table will have some columns, all those stuff. Okay, so in the application, I would create some front end saying like what is the invoice number, like with different text boxes. Say what is the invoice number, on what date it has been created, who created that, and what is the value of the invoice. This invoice has to be given to which customer, paid by which customer, all this stuff, all the details of the invoice, and then they click on the button save. Then the data should go and get saved into this table. I'm not worried on building this form or application at the front end. We're only looking at building the database in the back end like this. In the back end, I have to build, I have to architect, I have to design my database so that I'm able to store every information about the application in the backend. So that's where I would like to build some database. We're looking at this concept, okay, in HANA. So when you got to build your database, logically, if you want to group your database, we would create something called schema bus. So first we would create a logical grouping called schema, and under the schema you go about creating your all the database artifacts, whether it is table or database view or stored procedures, or whether it is triggers, sequences, all those stuff. Yeah. So now if you see here, if you look at this schema under catalogs, if you expand this, you get to see all these column views, functions, indexes, procedures, yeah, triggers, views, tables, synonyms, all this can be grouped under schema bus. Okay. Now see under this, I've got some lots of tables already created. Okay. Don't worry on. And when I go to certain table, I can also see the data of this table, for example. So expand the tables. So I have a table called dim customer. Right click, and I can say open data preview to see my data. So it's just showing my data. Okay, just to make, okay, that's about catalog folder. And you see a folder called content. Under the content folder, you will be going to have all the HANA modeling content. So I told you, once we have the database built in HANA, instead of exposing the tables directly to the other applications, whether it is business objects or could be any application built on Python or Java or Node.js, anything, instead of exposing the database tables directly, to implement push down mechanism, see two options. So you can just have tables in HANA and expose these tables to BO environment or Python or Java or any external application or any other applications. When they do when I expose tables, what happens? They consume the tables into that application. Then to get the required data, they join in the application layer in the BO environment, like whether they can use this IDT universe or they in the Java programming layer or Python programming or anything Node.js programming, they will join the tables and then get the required view and then they give it to the users, right? When they do that, what happens? The pressure of the pressure of joining the tables is taken care by the application server. Okay, so the pressure is on the application server or on the BO server. Suppose instead of doing that, since my HANA is an in-memory database and it is much faster when compared to other databases in processing my data, what I'll do is I would like to do push down mechanism where instead of exposing the tables to the third party applications and letting them join and then do lots of manipulations on the database, what I would do is I will massage the data or I will join the tables. I will slice and dice my tables and create my views through modeling artifacts like attribute view or analytical view or calculation view, and expose these views to the third party applications, whether it is with BO or it could be Tableau or whatever it is, and then or any other Java or Python applications. Then in this case, what happens? We are implementing a push down mechanism. So when push down mechanism happens, when you run a report or when you run the query in the BO layer or any other applications, it runs query on the view, and the view is executed in the HANA layer, which is an in-memory processing, and it will be much faster. So in the second case, the pressure is on HANA database, which it is able to handle it out. That is what we call it as push down mechanism. So when you got to implement this push down mechanism where you got to put all the logic into the HANA database, we get into creating of HANA models and then expose the HANA, instead of exposing the database tables directly, we would start, we would slice and dice and model these tables and create the HANA modeling artifacts like attribute view or analytical view or calculation view, and then expose these views to the other applications, whether it could be BO or Tableau or it could be Java application or Python or whatever it is. Now, if you see, so all those HANA modeling artifacts are created and managed, organized under this, are created, managed, organized under this content folder, where they are organized in form of a packages. Now, these are like packages. Now, I've got a package called Cubex demo new. Expand this. I see, look at this. I see some calculation views. Okay. I see some analytical views. I see some attribute views. And I can have sub packages also. Now I've got a Cubex demo new. Within that, I've got another package called joins. And then I've got some analytical views and I've got some attribute. Like again, like if I get in another, there is another package again. I've got another calculation view set, and I've got analytical privileges. I've got analytical views, attribute views, joins. All this can be organized like this. So all the HANA modeling content would be available under this content folder. Next, when I was giving about HANA introduction, I was telling you about provisioning. When you say provisioning, or you can deal with two things. One is information integration services. When you see integration through integration services, you can load data into HANA. Let's say I have, let us assume this way. Let us assume now I have this HANA DB, HANA database, and then I've created some table A. Let's have create some table A. And I don't want to manually enter this data into this table. Let's say there is already some external database or an application which is already having this database. Let's say this could be some SAP or non-SAP. Okay, SAP or non-SAP. What I want to do is I would like to extract the data from this. Let's say there is a table in this application and load data into this table. Let's say in this I have a table called XYZ. I would like to read, so there is a table XYZ in this DB, external DB. I would like to read data from this XYZ table, from this non-HANA or some database or whatever it is, and load into this table which is there in my HANA database. That is called as provisioning. Provisioning is nothing but extracting. That is called as provisioning. So I would like to implement some provisioning techniques through which I can extract or read the data from external applications or external databases, or it could be flat file or whatever it is, and load into my tables within HANA. That is called as provisioning. Okay. So when you want to implement this kind of provisioning techniques or extraction techniques within HANA, you use this folder provisioning bus. I was telling you about in the integration services, I was telling you about smart data access. Do you remember? Where by using smart data access, you connect the remote database, you connect this remote source as a virtual source or remotely, and you basically consume this table XYZ here as a virtual table. So only the metadata of this table is read into HANA, and then you virtually read the data from this here. So HANA will only have the metadata of the table. What is the table name? What columns we have? What is this definition of those columns? All those metadata is alone known by HANA. At the runtime, when I try to read data from this XYZ table, which is a virtual table in HANA, it at runtime it reads data from the source and then will show it to you. That is called as virtual table, which you can read it virtually from the source through what? Through smart data access. Now, once I have the smart data access connection, I don't want to read virtually. I would like to load. I would like to load. I would like to extract data from this table and then load. Then instead of you can go with smart data quality or smart data integration. There is something called smart data quality and smart data integration, which is like almost like a BODS concept. How many of you all know about BODS concept, which is an ETL tool? So within HANA, we have something called smart data quality and smart data integration, through which you can create a flow graphs or data flow graphs through which you can extract, literally do the extraction from the sources and load into HANA databases. Okay. So we'll see about smart data access and smart data quality integrations. Like this, you can right click on this and you can create a remote source. We'll see that later. And then next is you see a folder called security bus. As part of the security, basically it's about maintaining. I told you HANA gives you the flexibilities for securities, where you can have user authentication, user creations, role management, user security management can be done completely. So as part of users, you get to see what are the different users available. As part of roles, you get to see different roles, what is available. And as part of users folder, you can just right click to create a new user. You can create a new role. Basically, you'll be creating a role and assigning it to the users. For example, if I look at my user system, you will get to see all those what is being given about the see username is so and so. You'll have different authentication like how we had different authentications. Don't worry on this now. Keep browse all this. Now you see the different roles what is been granted. If you want to grant a new role, you can just click on this add and then you can select the role what you want to add, and then you will see privileges, and then you will see don't worry on this now. You see package privileges. This will tell you what for what packages he's got access to. Now when you see root package, all the existing packages are actually grouped under root. So when you have access to root, it means you have access to all the packages. Then we for what application privileges is got, and then any specific privileges on the users. So like this user management is done. Okay, you don't have to worry on this user management now as of now. Okay. So this is about under security, but that's about the systems tab. Okay, you see this in the systems tab, and then you see something, some tab here as quick view. I told you when you say HANA Studio, it is an IDE, desktop Eclipse based IDE, integrated development environment. When we say integrated development environment, it will be an application, desktop based application for developers or for modders. It provides you with the different menus and options or developer tools through which you can start developing your database or modeling this. Okay. Now, so here you see some different options which you can leverage it. Say you want to do some data provisioning. I told you about SLT, system replication data provisioning menu. You can click on this. We'll see about all these options one by one when time comes. But we can use these menus to perform the certain activities what you want. Yeah, just about click. Okay, like this. You can just click on this. Any menu, you can click on this and this. Yeah. Then you see where use list menu here. You'll understand majorly when you get onto HANA. For example, if I go to some, if I open some view, look at this. I selected some view here. Okay. I'm seeing that editor here, right? Means I'm seeing the definition of the view on the right hand panel here. Okay. Down it'll tell me various list. It's saying this view, what you have selected ZAT underscore BP01 has been used in so many other views. So that's where we can use the various list to identify where this use has been again internally used. So I've created one view ZAT underscore BP underscore 01. This was already used in lot other views. So you can use this various list component to understand where this view has been leveraged. Okay, that is one. And any component you select, let's say I select some component here, then I see some properties window. It will show the properties of it. Any object you select, I select the semantics, it shows the properties of semantics. If I select data foundation, it shows properties of data foundation. If I select this table, it will show properties of the table. So this is about just a properties window. It shows the properties of any component you select. Yeah? And then job log, history, and in progress. So whenever you perform certain jobs about importing data into from flat file or let's say smart data access, you do some SLT jobs, okay? Then the status of the job can be seen in the job log. In the historically, I can see the job status here, and if the job is in progress, I can see the job in progress here. Like this, you have your ready-made view setup, okay? But it's not mandatory that I have everything. What I can do, I can, for my comfort, I can just close this out, which I don't need. I can close this, okay? I don't want this quick view also. I can have this screen like this. And if I want to get this back, the default view, what I can do, I can say window, perspective. I'm in the modeler perspective, right? I'll say reset perspective. Then reset to default view what was given to me. So you get those menus back again, yeah? Or I don't want this, I'm just closing out as of now. I can close this. You can just customize your view how you want it, okay? So this is the view what I'm looking at. I am okay with this. So the like this, you have all the objects within this, and then now little bit on not administration, just knowing about the system. Say you have connected to one of the tenant database HXC on this host, but I just want to know some more information on this server. What was the OS? What is the version of this? All this, okay? What are the different servers which are running in the backend? All this can be known from here. I think you will be able to do only if you have permissions in the real time. But if you select this, now there's something called administration here. That will take me to administration perspectives. That will take me to administration perspective. Now when I go to administration perspective, this clearly tells me this. Okay, look at this. My all status is all services have been started. Okay, you can see the version of HANA 2 support pack 2. Okay, and the platform it is running on OS called SUSE Linux Enterprise Server 12.2, and completely used memory till now it is out of 16. I just allocated 16 GB. Now this HANA server is deployed on 16 GB RAM because this is this I told you this is Express edition. Okay. Now as of now I'm consuming 6.47 of my RAM, and then CPU utilization is 27 of 100. You're just using this much of. You can just get into more details of CPU usage, memory usage, or HANA how much memory has been used. All this, okay. Now disk, how much of disk am I using? So here you can get to see the resource utilizations, and you can see if there are some alerts to be shown. There are three alerts with medium priority. You can just click on this. What alerts we have? Data backup does not. It is giving a warning saying you have not taken the backup of the database. Last save point was so and so, so and so. You don't worry on this. Okay? This overview. And then if I go to my landscape tab, you get to see you get to see the different services which are running on this. Means HXC host is my server. On this server, I told you other day it is running lot. I told you this that one second. I told you when you install this the host, it has got the database services and XSA all this, right? I can see what services are running on my server here. Where is my studio? Sorry. You can see this here. I see you see something called index server bus. You see something called index server. This is nothing but your database server, which is mainly responsible for managing of your databases. Nothing but creating of tables, handling of tables, select statements, or reading of data from the table. All entire database management of this catalog objects is done by index server. Okay. And then I told you about access advanced, right? You see something called access controller, access execute agent, and access advanced server. Look at this, access advanced server. These all belong to your access advanced, and you have your index server for the database, and this is for your access advanced server. And there's something called DP server, which is for data provisioning. I told you when you have to deal with smart data quality and integration, you need to have DP server, which we call data provisioning server, also deployed in my HANA. So data provisioning is also one of the service available. Okay. So I have index database service, and I've got access advanced, extended service advanced runtime web server. Then I've got data provisioning services here. Like this, you'll have multiple and name server is for understanding the landscape environment. Like you'll have development, quality, production, right? When you need to have that integration of those landscape, we use name server. Daemon is like something like this. It's a startup that does not do anything in the server, but when you actually start your HANA server, first HANA server will start the daemon process, and the daemon process will take care about starting all other services, all other servers like index server, access controller, all other servers are started by daemon. Daemon will take care about starting all other things. And then I told you HANA also gives you flexibility of doing tracing, then understanding the problem, then diagnosis. All this will be handled by your administrator, but you should know that there's something like SQL trace, database trace, all this tracing can be done. Then once you understand the problem, you can have the diagnosis. Tracing files can be seen. You can see the trace files as .trc. Then you get to see some system information, like how much memory has been used, what is the table size, how many tables are there. If they want to see how many table locks have been created, they can see some system information here. So each one, like, can say, I want to see if there are any table locks. Just right click and say open and secret, or you can say execute. I can just select this SQL and say run. It is going to show. So there is no table locks. So there is some system information which can be, what are the different connections are active, okay, or any failed backups are available. Are there any open transactions? All this use used memory by tables. If I want to see which table has used in how much memory, I can see it here. Execute this. This will give me list of the tables and tell me which table is using how much. So there has got 589 tables in total, and which is consuming 24 MB of my memory. Okay, and we can also have see table specific also, database information, basic configuration of database if you want to see. So system ID is HXC, database name is HXC, host is HXC host, and it is started and it has been used for development purpose. Like this, you can see some system informations. And suppose now we don't do, but normal HANA admin, if they want to do some configurations because what they do whenever they install some services like Access Engine or data provisioning agent, there are a lot of services like EIM, or they install some geospatial, all those, they do all the configurations within this. They'll have all the INI files, nothing but the configuration files, index server.ini. So you'll have lots of options. So this is more like a parameter based configuration. So if you change something here, from here, they can basically control the system configurations, HANA database configurations from here. And in the volumes, you get to see basically what is the host and what is the total volume, data volume, all those stuff can be seen, leveraging, and something on the performance, you can see it here if you want to run. I'm not okay. You can see what are the block transactions, expensive statement tracing, job progressing, there's something, all this. And then apart from this, now if you right click on the system, you have an option called backup and recovery. See, this is all used by administrator, but just for you to get this and open backup console. So here you can it says no data backup operation currently in progress. Okay. Now go to backup catalog. Now here I can basically specify the location, all those stuff, and then I can basically create my own backup folder. So I can schedule the backup, regular backups or incremental backups, and then it will be taking up the backups for me. So all this is done by administrator for backup and all those stuff. Okay, don't have to worry on this. Hmm. So this is what is available like this. Okay. Now let's see how do we build the database now. Okay. I just want to start building with some database. So before I build the database, what I would do is I should basically go about creating my schema bus. Yeah. Hmm. So you can create schema with this SQL connection, or I can do that with normal UI also. Now look at this. I'll connect the system, and I would say a SQL edit. I would open a SQL editor. Mm, Let me just preferences. I would like to make the size big. Text editor. Where is my font? I would say font is 10. Hmm. So now, so basically, I'm going about creating a schema. So I would like to create a now. Look, this is a syntax here. Just say create schema cubex SQL bus. That's it. It's not necessary that you insert this in the double quotes, but if you see some special characters like say space, then the double quotes become mandatory bus. But if you don't have any special character, you don't need double quotes also. Not, but I would always follow this stand of putting double quotes for all the identifiers, whether table name, column name, or it's whether the schema name, or any database artifact technical name. I would prefer it go with double quotes. Okay, so I would say create schema and cubex SQL. If I do this, this will basically create the schema, and by default, when so see, I've connected to this system by using which user was. If I see the properties, what is user ID? I've logged in with system. So since we have connected to this HANA database using the system user, and when I basically create a schema with this statement, create schema cubex SQL, it automatically creates a schema called cubex SQL, and this will be having this schema can be accessed only by this use or owner of the schema will be the user who created it. If you see, you can see it here also. HXC connected with system user. So when I just create a schema like this, that will be owned by user called system. He will be the owner of it. When I say owner, he will have the complete rights on that schema bus. But if I have a different requirement, like say I have logged in with system user, but say there is another user called Pratap in HANA. Then let's say there is another user called Pratap. Okay. But what I want to do is, I would like to log in as system user, but I would like to make Pratap as the owner of this schema bus. Then I can say create schema so and so owned by the different user of HANA. Let's say there is another HANA user who should be the owner of it. I'll say Pratap. So in this case, I'm just creating cubic schema here, which will be owned by the user who created it. If you just say create schema, that will be owned by the user who created it by default. But whereas if you want to create some schema which should be owned by a different user, I have logged in a system user, but I would like to create some schema which will be owned by a different user, then I would use the syntax saying owned by. Okay. So now I don't need this. Okay. That is one. And one more thing, what it does is every time you create a schema, it also create a user with the same naming. It also create a user with this particular name. Okay. Now let's say select this and execute. Okay. See at the top you see F8 to execute this. Now once I execute, I get to see the message at the bottom. Say statement create schema has been executed. Okay. Now if I go to my catalog folder, if I just say right click and say refresh on the catalog, I should get to see that. So do I see a new schema called Cubex SQL here? Yes, I get in. But I don't see any of the database artifact, no tables, nothing, because I just create schema, but nothing has been done. I've not created anything within that yet. And apart from this, I told you it also creates user with the same name. If I go to security, I should see a user with the naming as Cubex SQL. Yes. I don't see this. Or you may not see, but if system DB, I don't know, but it should create that. But now we have the schema here, was Cubex SQL. Okay, fine. Now once I have the schema, I would like to focus on creating a database table also. Now I just want to create some simple, normal, simple database table. So I can create database table either by using SQL, like create table statement. Okay. Am I audible, boss? Are you facing any issues? Am I audible now or not? Hello? Hello,
Yeah, yeah, you are
am I
audible.
audible, boss? Okay, okay. Now I'm trying to create some simple table just to get the feel of it. How do we create? So creating table could be done with the normal UI or normal screen based, or it could be done with SQL also. First, I would like to do with the normal UI. Just right click on this within the schema, right click on this tables folder and say new table. So that opens up an editor here. Here you can basically specify the name of the table. So I was saying Z employee. This is my technical name of my table. Yeah, Z employee. And in which schema are we creating this table? You can choose a different schema, but I would like to prefer a schema called Cubex SQL as my schema. Now, what kind of table are you creating? Whether it is row store or column store. So when you say row store, each row will be stored in one memory location internal for you. See, whether it is row store or column store for you, when you're viewing it, it all looks like rows and columns only. But it basically changes in the internal mechanism how the table is getting stored in the backend. When you say row store, it stores in a row for each row is stored in one memory locations. When you say column store, set of each column values are stored in one continuous memory locations. Okay. So for analytical purposes, column store would be much more preferred. Okay. We'll get in detail later. Now I'm going with column store table, and here I can specify the column names. Each column what I want. I want employee number. Okay, and you can see that's the name of the column. And what is the data type you want? You want varchar, like any other database, you'll have big int, small int, varchar, double, decimal, small decimal, binary. And you see this st point and st geometry. This indicates that about your uh, geospatial. Okay, when you want to deal with the geo maps, geospatial data, then you go with geo point and geometry. Okay, and you have see binary blobs. You got clob, blob, n clob. When you want to deal with very big binary data, we go with that. Don't worry now. I'm saying I want varchar. It'll have numeric and characters. And when you say varchar, I can say I would go this with as an integer. Say integer, and that's it. When integer does not ask you for length, and I want this as primary key. You can just click on. You don't want this as primary key in a table? Yes, I would say I want on primary key. You can just give comment also. Nothing but the description of the column. I would say employee number. Yeah. Then I want one more column. EMP name. I want it as varchar or char, and then I want this length to be say 30. Enough. I don't. This can be null. Whether this column cannot be null or can be null, you can specify it here. I want I to have some comment for this employee name. Yeah. Done. This is where you basically specify the list of columns what you want. And there's a tab called indexes where you can basically create indexes on the table. Don't worry much on this now. Then there's some further properties, whether is it a temporary table. You just see there's something temporary table, global, no logging, all this. We'll come to this. Okay. So there is a concept called temporary table also. Temporary table means sometimes you might have to want to create a table locally, which will just be existence for that instance. Once you close the screen, the table is lost. So those are called local tables. Then there is something about runtime information about the table. You can see it here, like how much memory is consumed by this table, how many entries are there, how much is consumed in disk. We'll see this main store, delta store later, and then you can see the column names and how much each column has been using the space. Okay, just active. Don't worry much on this one. So whatever is required, I'll touch, but don't worry on much. Okay, don't just get what I teach. That should be more. That's it. The table is created. Now look at this. I should see a table here. Say I see a table Z employee. I can just see this. I can say right click, open definition again, and see the definition. Okay, I can see the definition, or I can basically open the data preview. I can see the content. Open content or open data preview. It should show you the data. What data do we have? Employee number. There's nothing because we have not inserted any data yet. That is one way of creating a table. Okay. So I can also create a table with SQL. Let's select this and select any of this and get into the SQL editor. So, so I've just taken up this editor here. So I'm writing a simple SQL, like say DDL statement, data definition language statement, saying create what table do you want? Create column table. Okay. What is the name of the? Then you say what type of table do you want? I want column table. Then you specify the name of the table explicitly specified on the schema name. Schema name. See, every database object, a database artifact will be qualified with the schema name. Schema name dot which table? I want employee table of Cubex SQL. So Cubex SQL dot employee. Yeah, that's how it question. So I say Cubex SQL dot EMP. EMP is my table name and Cubex SQL is my schema name. Then I will open the parenthesis and close it. Within this parenthesis, I would specify my column names. So employee EMP. See, this double quotes is not mandatory, boss, because I don't have any special characters or space, right? I can remove this double. Okay, not a problem. I can take this out. So I need a column called EMP ID of then column name, then the data type of the column. I don't and constraints. I don't want this to be not null, and I want this as primary key, comma. You separate each column definition with the comma. Then next column is employee name and varchar of 20. Okay. So I have a lot of statements, but I just want to execute only this statement. Just select only the statement which you would like to execute and then click on this. So it executes only the content. What is, even though there's a lot of content in the editor, it executes only one that part of SQL statement what you have selected. And when you want to have comments, you prefix with double hyphen here. Like this. Okay. So it's going to create a table EMP with two columns EMP ID and EMP name, where EMP ID is a primary. Now you look at the message, it says the table so and so has been created. Okay. Now if I go to this QBX here, tables folder, if I just refresh here, I should see a new table called EMP bus. Okay, and look at the symbol. I don't know how many of you see this. Look at the symbol. You see the symbol like vertical lines, which indicate it's a column type table, column store table. If you want to create a row store table, create. You will say type of table as row table, QBX SQL, and the table name is EMP row, and the column one is EMP ID. Again, data type, then constraints, then column name and the data type, and then now I'm creating a row store table. Just like this. Okay. Now if I go here, if I say refresh, you should see another table called EMP row. Okay. Look at this EMP row. Look at the small icons here for both this table EMP and EMP rows. In case of EMP table, I see vertical lines, and EMP row I see horizontal lines. So when you say vertical lines indicates that's a column store table, and horizontal lines indicates it's a row store table. Like this, you can basically create a simple row store and a simple column store table. Okay, don't worry much on the other options. Okay. Mhm. And one thing I want to take up is say I have a doubt here. If I just create a table without specifying any type, what type of table does it create? Say for example, I have something like this. I don't specify whether it is row or column. I just say create table. I just say create table. Then what kind of table? What type of table does it create by default? You see now EMP row 9 is what? It's a row store. So if you don't specify any type, by default it creates a row store table. So whenever you got to create a column table, you have to explicitly specify create column table, what type of table you would like to create. Okay, done. I can do like normal inserts onto the table. Say, let's say I have a Z employee, I just want to do some insert. Like normally you know about in SQL, when you want to insert data into this table, we do can write insert statement, but generally in the real time we don't write the SQLs. We will do some data processing techniques like smart data access, smart data quality, file imports, build ETL tools to load those tables. But now just to see how to do this, you can right click on this table. If you're not comfortable, you can say yes, generate insert statement. It will automatically give that to you. So see now first column does not give any single quotes because it is an integer. I want employee ID 1. And next column is the employee name, which is a string. So string always goes with single quotes. So I want as, and then I end with single. Instead of just executing one, I can just copy this multiple times. So I'll say employee ID2 and I say employee ID3 and I say, let the name be same, not a, because that is not a primary key. I just say execute. So once that is done, now I should be able to see the content on this. I can say open data preview like this, and I can see those 4 records. Or I can say right click on this table, generate select statement. So select employee number, employee name from this. So we can use select statement to read data from this table. I can either have the select statement and see here. Yeah. And you can just like this, you can insert and then do all the stuff. Okay. It's fine. I think that, like this, you can just create some table, get the data in, and all those stuff can be done. So I see in previous batches I used to teach in detail about triggers, views, synonyms, all this stuff. Okay, procedures I will deal even in this. Now others is not really necessary now because what I wanted to do is instead of wasting a lot of time, because in the real time we are not really leveraging those options of triggers, sequences, synonyms. So what I've done is I've prepared some videos already which explains in detail about tables, SQL, synonyms, all this. Yeah, and then I'm going to share those videos with you. You spend time and then go through that instead of me wasting a lot of time on those options. Yeah. Okay. So what I wanted to do is straight away I would like to get into the HANA modeling aspect. So what I've done is I have some ready-made schema available like cubex. Okay. See with some lot of tables. Lot of tables is already there. I'm going to leverage these tables for my modeling. This is one. And there is another schema called HANA demo with lots of tables. I'm going to leverage these tables. Okay. Like I said, there are a lot of tables on address, business partner, employees, header item. All this data I'm going to use for demonstrating the modeling capabilities in HANA. But when you are practicing in your system, you may not find that out. For example, if you see, like, let me log into this database, Cubex. Now let me show you this database. This does not have this. So if I get to this system in the catalog, do you see any of the schema here as Cubex? Look at this. Do you see any of the schema as Cubex? Okay. No. Do you see any schema as SAP HANA demo? No. And if you see, there are some ready-made. I just created some views also already. Okay, just to make sure this will be the case studies for to learn about modeling. So even these packages are also not there here. If you go to content, do you see those packages here? No, right? Right. Imagine you have your own system. In Vasu system, it might be there, but imagine you have your own system and you don't have those schemas, so that you'll not be able to practice on the modeling. Okay, so then how do I get this out? Okay, so what I have done is, so what you have to do is once you have the system to make sure you're ready for environment is ready for our practice or development. What you have to do is one second. Okay, boss. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you these three files. Okay, for you. One is cubic schema CSV data export, import views, HANA demo contents. Okay, cubic schema CSV data export. This is one. All these are extracts. Okay. Hmm? So I'm going to send you these in your emails. Okay, Pawan will be sending it to you. Yeah, yeah. In Vasu, you may not have demo tables. I'm showing you how to get the demo tables within the Vasu. Any, not only Vasu, any HANA system, we can get this out. Okay. Now look at this. So I'm going to share these three files. Okay. Now, how do you basically import this and get those demo content tables so that you can practice, get on to modeling this? Okay. Now, first will be your Cubex schema CSV export. This file, this file will be able to give you the Cubex schema details for you. What you got to do? Select this and say right click, extract. I have just downloaded this file. Let's say I send you in a mail. You will be able to download them in your downloads. Then you best extract this here to this folder, Cubex schema CSV export. You have done right. Okay. Now, when you do this, when you get into this inside the folder, again you see one more subfolder. Then you see this export and index. Okay. Now, how do I do this? Now, what I do? Now, look at how do I import? So, I don't have the schema Cubex here. How do I do this? Okay. I'm going to show you. Let's say if there's some ready-made content or schema is already given to you, how do I import into my database? Okay. So, I would say file, import here. Okay. This is where you're importing the content, or this is one option. Or if you go to Windows, reset perspective, you also have a easy menu from here. This is there's something on import here. I can also click on import. So you can import the database. Now, do you want to import HANA content? See, content is nothing but modeling content. Or do you want to import something HANA artifacts, database? So I want to import database, right? Schema is a database. So you expand SAP HANA, which is nothing but I would like to, because I'm trying to import my schema, which is nothing but the tables, catalog objects. Yeah. So click on this catalog objects and say next. It will ask you in which system. Yeah. Next. So from which system from where do you want to import? Not on the server. So you say I want to import it from the client, and browse through and specify your downloads folder. Within the downloads, I see Cubex CV export, Cubex CV export. See, you have to specify a folder which is above this export and index. You see two folders, export and index. Just specify a folder above that. That's it. Okay, and say okay. Then say next. Then it will start showing you all the tables here. You can just select this table, use shift, and then select the last table. Yeah? Or you can say control A. Select this one of the table and say control A. Then say add. You move all the tables to the right. Say you want to import all these tables and say next. If there's anything, replace existing. Suppose if there's already available, you can say replace. You always use this option. If the Cubex schema is already imported, you don't disturb this, you want to go and overwrite, so it'll replace those existing objects. Say finish. Now the import will run and it will bring you that schema for you. So it will bring you that schema with all the ready-made tables already within the package, and then along with the data also. Now expand this catalog. Now if I refresh, I should see a schema called Cubex. Look at this. I see a Cubex schema. Then I go to tables. Then I get to see a lot of tables like say dim customer. I would like to see the content of it. I see this data. Okay. Or I would like to see this fact customer order. I would like to see some facts. So there's some data in this already. So along with the data, the tables are made ready again. Okay, don't worry about how that is created and exposed. Next is I have said I also be using the HANA demo also, right? HANA demo content also. So what I've done is for that I've just given you one more package. Now if you go to downloads again, so I can just delete this folder. I don't want this. I'm just deleting. I'm deleting this one, not to get confused. Now next I've given something on HANA demo content. So this will give you that HANA underscore demo schema, which is again with a lot of tables which can be used for as a demo content. Now again you can have to extract this file. Now when I go inside this, you see subfolder again. When you go inside this, you see this. In this case, this is not the export. This is actually a package which this is a delivery unit was. Okay, with the extension TZZ. If you see, you would have this extension with this TZZ, which we call it as delivery unit. We'll learn about what is delivery unit later. You can just for now you can understand like say if you're already in if you're already in SAP, you can understand the terminology as transport request. You can understand like that. Okay, so there's a TZZ here, which is a delivery unit which you have to import. So now the first one was a developer mode. Now this is a delivery unit. See now there's something called delivery units. Okay. Now say import. Now if I go to SAP HANA, I only have option of catalog objects. Now it's not catalog, it is going to be delivery unit. So it's HANA content, then select this delivery unit. So next, which system you want to import? System DB. It's from the server. My file is in my client system, in my local system. Where is it? Go to downloads, HANA demo, HANA demo. Then you see this HANA. This is like a zip. This is a. It is only expecting TZZ file. This is my TZ, which is a delivery unit file. Say open. It will show me list of objects which will be imported as part of this TZZ. So the ready-made tables, HANA demo, HANA, where the table name is sap.hana.demo.epm, all the tables, everything gets imported. Say finish. Now this will start importing the schema, all the because since this is a delivery unit, they have given ready-made views, ready-made tables, everything is built in. SAP HANA underscore demo. Now just refresh this package. Now you should start seeing HANA demos. You're not seeing SAP HANA demo layer. Oh, sorry, it's still running. Okay, sorry. Just complete with errors. Required does not object does not exist. Either the schema is in. Okay, don't worry on that warning. If it is imported some part of it, that should be fine for us. So now it is done. So I see this now schema SAP HANA demo with all the tables. Okay, done. It will have all the data also. Don't worry. You can just see the business partner data, and then I don't have privileges. It says. Insufficient privilege because I don't have access on this schema SAP HANA demo. I can basically grant access. I can say from here also I can say grant. I can use SQL or I can use normal UI editor. I can say grant. Select on schema. What is the schema name? SAP underscore HANA underscore demo to system user. I want to do with grant option so that you can grant it others also. So I want to grant select options. You should be able to select on this schema and then to this user, and he can grant others. I want to keep it that way. Grantor and grantee are identical. Okay, it means I need to get into different user bus, which I might not. I'll try it this way. I go to system privileges. Sorry, object privileges. Catalog object, right? I specify the schema. Select this schema and say okay. Now for this schema, what you want? I would like to give see this schema. I would like to give the option as select. You should be able to execute or all alter, create anything. System user should be able to do. Delete, drop, insert, delete, prefer anything. You should be able to do on this. So I'm granting access on this. So now I've done. So now system user has got access to this. Now I should be able to see that data. So I'm able to see. Like this, I can give authorizations to the particular schema to an user also. But that will be taken care by your admin. Okay, that is fine. And next is I would like to bring in some ready-made views, right? Ready-made HANA models. Then where is this folder? I missed it. Again in the downloads. Now I'll delete this folder which I extracted. Now I don't need. Then there's something called import views which I've given you. Extract import views. Now if you go to import views, there is something called HDB. Now within the HDB there are two packages here. So what you got to do is don't worry on what I'm doing now. Now for the system package, you basically again you say import. That is a developer mode, but that is not a delivery unit. So get to the HANA content, developer mode, and say next system DB. I want to get in file location, your downloads. Then specify the folder above this HDB bus import views. Okay. Then you get to see this contents. I don't want HDB. Sorry. Specify the folder till HDB. Yes, I want only this two. So when I say HDB, you get to see these packages. You get to see the views within that. Okay, I want all this. So select both the packages and say add, and all this will be collected here. Say finish. So I'm bringing the ready-made HANA content models also, which can be used as an examples. Okay. Okay. So now if you get to catalog, I should see Cubex demo package, Cubex demo new data. Okay, fine. Fine, boss. For today, I'm stopping it here, and tomorrow I'm going to show you how do you access the other. I told you I made some videos for you to get into more because I don't want to waste my time or waste the class time in the class because many people might know already about the SQL. So I made a dedicated set of videos in detail. I've explained about all the options in SQL in depth and made some videos. So I'll be able to share those videos with you in the portal, and then you will be able to leverage those videos to learn about more into that. But I will try to because I worked on HANA for almost 4 to 5 years now, so I know exactly what is required. I'll touch what is required. You don't worry about anything. Okay, give it to me. Okay, leave it to me. Fine. Okay. Thank you, boss. Thank you, and we'll meet tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you. Bye.